So we are currently here at City Hall at the City of Espanola Municipal Building. This is their second City Council meeting for this month. So let's see this turnout. I haven't been to one of these in quite a while. So let's see how this goes.
Got it. I did. Thank you.
Oh, that's mine. Thank you. Good evening, Counselor. How are you?
Sorry. I have a lot on my mind. My mom.
How did she do it? Sorry to hear that. She's doing treatments regularly or?
She's at PT now, but I don't know. It just seems like things are moving so slow. Today marks the month she's been in the hospital.
Hospital? Oh, I didn't realize she was.
How you doing? Nice to see you.
You too, Senor.
She should be out by March 2nd. They keep pushing back the deadline.
Is that able to get the, from here to here?
Mm-hmm.
What does?
Mm-hmm.
Let's have it quickly.
I just
Is
wish
that
I could
okay?
go home.
Yeah. It doesn't come out. That's why I don't like them using the podium, they're gonna use this.
Yeah, it gets in the way.
No, they can't see anybody that's coming to speak from the podium. I like it.
They don't get on
If
the
it was
camera.
in the middle,
Yeah,
it'd
they
be
don't
different,
get.
yeah. It'd be different.
I know for planning commission, we pull it out
To the middle.
kind of in the middle. But you can see them.
But I figured that because there's usually one or two people presenting, I think better to do it.
Yeah. But we usually put the table next to the podium because they usually have plans or things that they're presenting.
Right.
So that's what the table is used for.
I'm gonna go get my stuff over there.
Okay, making stuff, girl? That's okay.
Well, she got to come in to support you or you're fine anyway, though.
Either way is okay,
Okay. I'll be right
however
back.
you want.
Like, for
that's what we're getting at. And we're working toward that.
Up to it's the state coalition of care.
Coalition of Care, okay. Hey, do you live in Zia Estates here?
Not anymore.
You live close to them?
I live in Avenida Cañada now, but I used to live in Zia Estates.
Because they just had an unattended death today.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's horrible.
I was gonna see, definition of, I was gonna see if, I'm gonna see what you guys like better. I kinda like Jeff's better. I'm gonna share with all the counselors. I like Jeff's a little bit better than I like Ernest's, but I'm gonna probably use Jeff's. Just, these are just examples of what I'm thinking of making mandatory for the reports.
For the reporting. I kinda like this format better, but this gives us more
I want the one-
information.
I like the format, I like bullet points and bottom line, that's all I want, cause I don't have time to do everything.
My problem with Jeff's format, as someone who serves on the Public Work Committee, is that they often just submit the same thing over and over. And there's not a real update of, like, for instance, let's see if it's on here. Ranchitos Park, CBG, this exact same line has been the same for the last year. Ongoing, did this, waiting. I don't know, that doesn't really tell me exactly what's going on or why it's still held up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dee, do you guys need a copy?
I'll take one just in case. Thank you.
And then like I could tell some of the older projects that he used to be on here, he just deleted it and didn't remove the space.
Yeah, so I'm looking, we're gonna finalize something, we're not gonna, unless you guys wanna pay me 20K, I'll put something together for you. Yeah, I'll take 10K. How about that?
Oh, God.
Is that okay with you guys? Little too early, huh? Too soon?
Just wait. Just kidding.
I mean, it seems like your predecessor handed out 20K checks to everybody.
Speaking of that, I gotta deal with a point in time, we gotta somehow get together with a point in time, survey. I know what they are, I know how to do them, I just don't know if we have the resource. Hey, sir, I already I handed out, I'm gonna use yours as a,
The, ordinance 2026, 2. The one that Frank,
no, remember that you gave me with all what you're doing.
oh,
I
the
handed it out.
director's report.
Yeah, so I handed it out to them and Jeff as an example of how we
Question
do it.
about that.
But which, what's
Ordinance
on,
2, was that supposed to be on tonight? Ordinance 2, was it supposed to be on
what
tonight?
is one?
Oh, no.
2026-2.
She didn't put on.
Is that the movie?
Oh, is this the Silky Way one?
Oh, the.
No, it's the Silky Way one. It's not on the agenda, I don't think.
Governing body.
It's because we didn't get it out to the Rio Grande.
Yeah, it's not on the
Yeah,
agenda.
okay.
There's
I heard that.
2026-3.
Okay, so just so you know that.
Yeah, no, no.
So we need a budget adjustment, we need, another budget. I think one of the ones we really need to pay attention to is, I was at those meetings, is Michael Adams. That's a great one, cause that's gonna put lights on all 3 bridges, and if I have to, I told Mike I'll speak on it. We're gonna put lights on all 3 bridges, we're gonna put a parking canopy in the back with lights, solar powered. We're gonna put lights at the Rosero Center and lights at the wastewater. I was at those meetings for that one, that's a great one, and it's only 2% match, so for $50,000, we're getting another. Instead of the 5% match, which is 100,000, Mike did a great job with that.
Okay.
So that's a good one, we need that
How
one.
much is it
Which
for?
one's supposed to be on there?
But we have to do 2% match as opposed to, we got it down from 5%, instead of $100,000, we
This
just
is the
match
one
it.
for.
But, have you seen the canopy lights? There's a lot of churches that do them now, they'll have parking canopies and on top, will all be solar panels.
Yeah.
And lights. Plus, some of the lights will go down into the
Like in
parking.
Phoenix.
Yeah. So then in the park is also gonna be getting some of the lights, lighting. So that's, that one I was personally also involved in.
Has to just
I think that's great. We need that, because remember the gentleman that's always saying about no lights on any of the bridges? This will put lights on all three bridges,
That's good.
the LED lights.
We really need it on Valdez, like, that bridge is pretty dark.
So I've been involved in
make
this,
sure
and I've been involved in some of these, also finalizing leases.
I'll have a reminder, but you already know, so you must have it.
So what is, who's looking to rent the old Amazon space?
It is Capilano. And so what we're gonna do is we're trying to get the lease so that one ends on one day and we start the other one on the next day.
What is this landlord gonna do there?
What did we say? Mike knows, we and I talked about it. And then we're getting ready to sell back that extra water that we found. You know what I'm talking about? About
Is it just, maybe
170,000.
just to alleviate office space or something? I don't know.
I don't think it's anything.
So it's,
Yeah. Is this the one you're gonna show me?
no, I was gonna show you, so just yesterday I got all the recorded plans that Clyde BDO submitted, showing the 3 lots and the line that's earmarked for moving arts.
Which is the one for moving arts? Where is
This
that?
one here, the one with the building on it. So it's this parcel here.
All of this right here with the parking. So this parcel, how is it divided? 1, 2, 3?
2, 3.
Okay. I see what you're saying. So this little one here that looks like someone took a bite out of a cracker is the one we're doing for moving arts.
Yes,
Okay.
and he just recorded it, because I signed it off. I had the mayor sign it, because it's the city property. So the mayor, and then I signed it for planning.
Good stuff. We went to the event on Sunday night. They had an event in Santa. They raised $150,000 in just under 3 hours. They did a good job.
So selling things or?
They auctioned off paintings and they auctioned off a few things, and then there was just some donors. I even, they even got me. I told them what I was doing.
Make sure that the appraisal that state behind is from a licensed appraiser.
This is perfect. This is perfect. Thank you. I like this, thank you. And I also want to talk about how many beach trap inspections you guys have done, the work you guys have done, all the houses that you've gone to. I'll talk a little bit about that. I have all the emails from Lori and
Okay.
from Matt. So
We really haven't started that kind of on a daily basis, on a scheduled basis. The intent is.
There he is, usual suspects.
I like the collaboration we did on Henry Lane. You guys did great with the fire department and with water.
Yeah, they call and ask me, Roy, and keep me
You guys have been doing a
informed.
good job, I'm
Thank
telling
you.
you. Thank you. I've been keeping track of everything.
Thank you.
You're doing a good job,
Yeah,
guys.
call anytime that you need
No,
something.
I will, and thank you guys.
You think we're gonna form today?
I hope so, because I put a lot of paper on people's desks. Last night's meeting was pretty, it was good, I learned a lot. I always bring my budget, I have the complete, I walk around with the budget now. And I think Sally and I were looking, is this Mr. Coppler? Is that his
He
name?
won't be here.
No.
Yeah, he's not gonna be here tonight.
Peggy will sit there.
He
That's
called.
Peggy.
Did you get to go? I was at the opening today of the Humane, man, it's a beautiful building.
I wanted to go so bad, but I had to, take the kids to Highlands.
It was you know what, that is a state-of-the-art building.
I'll see you.
Oh yeah, I saw the pictures that
Maybe-
Matt, the
See if you can call me.
lieutenant governor posted.
Yeah, I was there,
Heads up. All
Ben,
of our
no,
birthdays.
Governor Lujan was there, Ben Lujan.
Recording in progress.
Hours.
sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh, look, long time no see there, chief.
I was just telling him about today's event. It was pretty significant.
I'm sorry I couldn't
I-
go.
I wore my shirt today in honor of National Spay Neuter Day. I changed my shirt. It was, I sent Maddie because I videoed the ribbon cutting while she was taking pictures. So I sent her the videos and all the photos I ended up getting.
Army, Marines, Air Force, Space Force, Navy, Coast Guard.
All I know is I'm gonna swim. Oh my
Taking
goodness.
all the dogs in the world. How are you? Trying. As many as I can.
Been in my ear for a while, I'm gonna go make my presence.
Yeah, people forget the Space Force, but one of my buddies was pretty high. He was, he worked with J2, the J2.
I'm having a hard time standing up. Sitting down is easy, but standing.
My knees.
Yeah, the knees.
That's me.
How are you doing? Good. See you.
Busy.
Busy? You get more busy when you're tired, don't you?
I tell people I don't know how to do what I used to do in work.
Yeah.
I'm busier now.
Yeah, I know that happens, but it's probably good.
The busiest part is getting out of their way.
Did we get that contract taken care of? We had that. I thought we were finalized. See, the agenda's over there, see?
And it takes a lot.
Let me talk to, Aisha.
Thank God that she's not like
She's totally chunky again, and she's happy, and her fur's growing back, and she looks really good. So Tracy, I send Tracy pictures all the time.
They haven't done anything with this house.
No, they're not, it's in foreclosure. Yeah. He was that far.
So I wonder what they're gonna do.
Here again. You haven't.
That's a lot of work.
Oh, God.
Did you see underground?
Girl,
Did you see the underground?
all I needed to be was inside.
Oh.
I was
Might be for me
inside.
too.
What's that?
Oh, it might be for me too.
I had one of the bikes, and the second bike was supposed to, I was supposed to go get it. Tracy was gonna give it to me, so we could use it as parts to fix the one that I had. And by the time I got the bike was gone, so we sold it right around here.
They were taking all kinds of things.
No, that's actually a friend of his that took the trailer. I found out how to talk to Tracy. It was an old friend of his that came and got the trailer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're switching services.
She's like, I need to be.
You'll hand it off to
I
me.
need you for it.
If you want us to, I can keep it. Whatever you choose.
And then all of a sudden they came back out and set out in my camera. Yeah. And she was just like, So I still, oh no, I still see he comes to visit her all the time. They both do.
Council did something. I got you.
She's,
Yeah, we just got
she's
the
scared.
contract. $725. He has a contract. I just haven't signed it off. They were good. What do they call it?
They get, yeah, it gets used up and.
If I get it,
Yeah, she's coming to the back end of the house now. Checking out the bedroom. She's like,
I do, sir.
she's making her friends. I'm trying. I make sure Tracy knows. So that all the neighbors know that she's very well taken care of. Exhausted. I don't know why my body thinks that it needs to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning on my office.
where's the address?
Hey, how'd you sneak by me? You missed it. It was, am I right? You're there. Did you see It is beautiful. Yes. I'll send you Maddie's email address and you can reach out to her because she'll schedule you to go fly through it. Yeah. This afternoon. At the ribbon cutting for the shelter clinic. They sent you an yeah, so that's why. Oh gosh, did you hear I went and dropped off?
Yeah,
I heard I dropped off my tickets to your guys.
Oh, yeah, I saw
They came from the shelter. So,
this ordinance 2026?
There's something that's been sent to the Sun for advertising.
Oh, but it's not on tonight's.
It's not
agenda.
on.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Yeah, we'll put it on.
I was.
Can you do this in clear? Right? Are we ready, guys?
Not quite.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yes.
Okay, let's shoot right now.
Di, are we ready?
Yep.
All right. Time is 6:03. We're gonna call this meeting to order. Would you please join me in the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilor Pedro Valdez will lead us in invocation this evening.
Father, we thank you tonight for the meeting that we're having and the things that we have to take care of. We thank you for blessing Espanola. And Lord, we ask that you, on the elections, that you appoint those that are going to be coming into the city. And we continue asking for your grace. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilor Pedro. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Justin Salazar Torres.
He just texted me that he's running late, coming down the hill, and he doesn't have service.
Okay. Counselor Peggy Sue Martinez. Counselor Nanette Rodriguez. Counselor Aaron Salazar.
Present.
Counselor Felicia Archuleta Toya.
She is online,
She is
but she
online.
needs to respond. Counselor Archuleta. Counselor Archuleta, can you respond?
Might be coming down the hill too.
Okay, she can't, she's not in the meeting unless she responds.
Yeah, she can unmute and.
Yeah, hold on, that's Felicia. Hi, are you having a hard time?
I can't unmute. It says that the host is not letting people unmute, so
Yeah,
I can't unmute
I
myself to acknowledge that I'm in the meeting.
made her co-host, so
Okay,
she
she
should be able
made
to
you a
announce.
co-host, try it now. Cause I need you to
Okay.
acknowledge presence for you to be able to be counted as part of the quorum.
Okay,
Okay.
I will try it now.
Counselor Archuleta Toya, can you confirm attendance?
She is off the meeting now.
Okay. Okay, just go ahead and then come back to her.
Okay, Counselor Pedro Valdez.
Here.
Counselor Denise Benavides.
Present.
Counselor Samuel Ledoux.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Can you do it again?
Counselor,
Oh, she's not on? Okay, then we're just gonna move on and then let me know when she does so I can announce that she's entered the room.
okay.
All right, before you members of the body, you have the agenda for you. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Motion to approve the agenda as presented, Counselor Pedro Valdez, second by Counselor Nanette Rodriguez. Any discussion? No being none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign, thank you. All right, approval of the consent agenda. You have the consent agenda to consist of the following. Special city council meeting minutes, January 8th, 2026, and the city council meeting minutes for January 13th, 2026.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilor Pedro Valdez. Second by Councilor Aaron Salazar. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign, thank you. All right, public comment. Public comment is limited to 2 minutes this evening. Will the clerk please handle that?
First is Chris Archuleta.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, city manager. Earlier December 2025, there was a dog that was hit off of Hill Street, Dale's dog. Since then, I've been in contact with Chief about getting some more patrols out there because of the speeding on Hill Street, Bond Street, South Coronado. Again, police, they get busy at times. Is there something that we can do permanent, like put some permanent speed bumps out there to slow down this traffic? Or is that not under your purview? Thank you.
Okay, next is Joe Salazar.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Joe Salazar. Last night I received a document stating that there's a shortage now of not only $2 million, but it's gone up to $4 million. I was told that there was an error in this presentation that was put out to the public. It was done in a public meeting, and that it's incorrect. If there's error in it, I think, there's several levels where it could have been corrected. It could have been done by the supervisor of the person that prepared this document. It could have gone to the committee members that overlooked this document, and especially the chair of that committee. And then it goes up further to the city manager and anybody else. So it's presented, and right now, in a public meeting that I was attending today, it was going out that the city is $4 million in the hole. So, that's quite concerning. What are you going to do about this issue? Thank you.
Okay, next is Bethany Bradley.
Real quick.
Oh, yeah,
Let me
so-
let the record reflect that Counselor Felicia Archuleta Toya has entered the room. Okay, come on up, thank you.
Don't you have to acknowledge she's here?
Oh yeah, that's true, thank you. Felicia, can you acknowledge presence?
I saw you make her administrator.
Yeah, she is unmuted.
Okay, well, then, for purposes of this, until she acknowledges, thank you, Counselor. Go ahead, Bethany, sorry about that.
That's okay. Good evening, everyone. So, as you can see, I'm wearing my lovely shirt. Today is National Spay Neuter Day. Also, 6 years ago today, my husband and I arrived here to New Mexico to start our new life in this beautiful town. Ironically, today, the shelter opened its new spay neuter clinic, wellness clinic, urgent care, which is going to do amazing things for this community. And I remember when it was just a dream 6 years ago. So let's just say that everybody got to see me cry today. I am disappointed that it was just me, the chief. Was it your 2 assistants that were there today?
Yes.
And Peggy Sue and her granddaughter that were there representing this city. And I do know a few people didn't receive emails or anything due to the fact that they didn't have working city devices. I'm just really disappointed. We can show up to ribbon cuttings for park districts and for other things, but we can't show up for something so important to our community, because this is going to be huge to our community. You guys, this is going to help people in this community keep their pets and not have to go to an emergency room in Santa Fe and pay thousands of dollars and go, I can't afford that. So this, you guys talk about how important these non-for-profits and things are. You need to show it. And not coming today kind of showed, it was very disrespectful, in my opinion, that people did not show. I understand why a few didn't, but I know you were in town. I know you come to all the ribbon cutting, so I'm a little confused why, you guys didn't show up. And I just wanted to express my disappointment that you guys didn't show up for an amazing day today, because ask the chief, it was great.
I want to respond to that real quick. I take full responsibility. I didn't have a city phone. I haven't had a city phone for about 2 weeks because we changed over to T-Mobile. I actually was very upset. The chief let me know today. He had gone to the event and he didn't let me know. I can't speak for the rest of the council, but I know a lot of us are in transition with our cell phones. And so that's our full point of communication of how we get emails and we get invitations.
And we did that about 3 weeks ago at the last council meeting. We turned over our phones and we didn't have them. And so, at least for me, that's why I couldn't be there today. And I apologize, and I wish the chief would have let me know ahead of time, but that's also where my calendar is.
That was sent out a month ago.
I know, but I didn't have my phone with the calendar. That's how I have the calendar here. So I apologize. I take full responsibility.
Next up is Stephen.
I haven't been here for a while. I'm back. I was gonna write a post, but I'd rather have it on record. Pedro Valdez. Your wife is Lauren Valdez. She's a poll worker for the election early voting. People that have gone and early voted this month have reached out to me that your wife is so rude to them because they ask for help. Especially the older folks, like the seniors, like how you guys are. We're so rude to them to help them out. Other individuals as well, but they pointed out your wife more. If that's the type of people you have as volunteers for asking simple questions, and these volunteers are being rude to these people, I think that's unpleasant. Anyways, I was going to talk about the $4 million deficit, but this guy beat me to it. You guys are moving money, misplacing money, putting them in departments, whatever you guys are doing, buying things, misplacing money, whatever you guys are doing is so wrong, so wrong. It's a miracle that my buddy Joseph Maestas, the state auditor, hasn't stepped in and audited you guys. You guys passed so much audits back in the day, and I think that's a bunch of bullshit that you guys passed them. And now that you guys are in a hole, it's kind of ridiculous. It's about time Miss Piggy shows up. John, I really hope you don't win this election because you're a disgrace to the city and you're a disgrace to the city of Espanola. You can't even look me in the eye. You don't like taking pictures with your constituents. You don't like to do photo ops, but you do photo ops for everybody else. That I just threw that in. That's just a little jab. This city is hurting for a very long time.
Thank you.
That's all I have to
3
say.
minutes, your 2 minutes is up.
3 minutes?
2 minutes. Thank you. That concludes public comment.
Thank you all for signing in for public comment. Councilor comments. Councilor Ledoux.
Bethany, I want to just acknowledge that I unfortunately could also not attend because I had some stuff at work to do. I emailed them a month ago that I couldn't attend. I know that Northern also had their gym opening as well today around the same time. There is a lot of stuff going on, and that's why sometimes you have to prioritize, and I want to acknowledge the counselors that were here last night that, you know, missed some pretty important opportunities and got flack for it because they were here to do the job that they swore an oath to do. So I want to especially thank, you know, Counselor Salazar, Counselor Martinez, Counselor Salazar Torres, all of whom were running for office and had to miss a candidate for them because they came here to do the job that they were elected to do. So, you know, sometimes you have to make tough choices. They made a tough choice, and it was the right choice, in my opinion, because that's the job that we were elected to do. I also had to miss, you know, my mom's been in the hospital now for a month, and I couldn't go see her yesterday because I had to be here, because I swore an oath that I would do this job. So I want to just commend you, all three of you, for stepping up and making that difficult decision. I know it wasn't easy, and I know that you've gotten flack for it, but you did what you needed to do. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for staying here late last night with Pedro and I, you know, and getting it done. You know, I do have some concerns about this election in the sense that I understand that we are doing everything within legal bounds, but we have violated norms and customs that we have become to expect when it comes to elections, such as receiving early voter lists. Other municipalities that are running their elections at the same time are still distributing these lists. And even though we may not need to do it, or it may be seen as burdensome by this administration, I feel that it has worried a lot of the candidates who are running for office. And there's a lot of things in this city where when people point out that norms have been violated, that things aren't done the same way that they've been done for a long time, that the response is, well, we don't legally have to do it. I feel like doing the bare minimum is not an excuse. We need to do the job that's expected of people. People put a lot of faith in our local government, and we need to step it up. That's all I have to say.
Anyone else? Councilor Salazar.
Thank you, Mayor. Bethany, I explained earlier why I had this. I did have it on the calendar, but we just couldn't make it. We had paradigm meetings, and I was up in Taos all day. Tomorrow there in Espanola. So it's the Mexico One call for all the contractors. Also, if, Elijah, given that we had talked about the speed bumps and there was a reason for not having them on Hill Street and stuff.
I don't really have anywhere to go up there, but if we,
Just speak loud.
yeah, because the mic's up there. I just want to make sure that if we want to run it through Public Works first, if we've done with all the other ones, so that meeting's coming up soon, we can turn that in. If not, we can just bring it to the council here, have you guys, I can draft up something, give it a cost, and have you guys vote on it. That's also an option. So we looked at some of the costs on there, I don't have it with me right now. And then that would give you guys kind of an estimate what it would be, because we have to put up some signage for it, and then get them out there.
I thought we were told we couldn't put them on those main arterial roadways, like Hill Street, because it's a connect.
It's gonna be, that's the problem too, is that hill, not only does it connect, but you have all the parking lots for the plaza. And we'll end up seeing if we have problems around cheap, those people go over now with the speed humps.
Yeah.
Because there's no sidewalk there, and it's gonna put people to swerve to go around the parking lot, which could create a problem, so.
Because that seems to be the issue for McCurdy Road, and why you can't put speed bumps there.
That's another one there too, I mean, it would really slow down that road, and that's a lot of speed humps in that entire thing. So we could put something there, but it's something that's really, I'll leave it up to you guys if you want to do it. I can present it, I can give it to you guys. Just know that when we have open stuff like those parking lots, it's difficult. We can put them, that's not an issue. It's just making sure that we put them in places that it's not gonna interrupt anybody's driveway, and it's not gonna put people into the parking lots.
What about near the stop signs? Because that's where, like on McCurdy Road, people just blow through those stop signs all the time.
We can look into that, that's what we have to put the rumble strips for, but we can look into those too, but we gotta fix those and then put the other part in there. So, but the problem also is funding. That streets department doesn't have a whole lot of funding for this type of stuff. It was really pre-planned. We spend a lot in the district, in very many districts, but we spend, we needed that Bosque cleared up because there was a lot of issues going on there. That cost us $20,000. And we have a $50,000 budget, roughly. That's kind of takes a big chunk out of that. The rumble strips are $14,000 or $12,000 or $14,000, and that takes it out of too. So these budgets are small, and unless we seek funding for the separate things outside of what our normal GRTs are, it's kind of hard on us. Our funding that we get from the gas tax is pretty much in half now from what it used to be. There's a lot of gas stations now on tribal lands that take up money that we don't get back anymore. So it's one of those things that we don't. Our funding keeps going down, and that's something we have no control over.
We haven't lost any gas stations.
So not recently,
no, it's not where they're at.
They've been purchased by the tribe.
Well, that's the thing. So everyone that goes into tribal,
they lost. That's a losing one.
yeah.
Well,
So
they're
we
still
lose on that. So those are the ones that we lost in there. But just so you know, though, that's where the thing is. But I can present something if you guys
What's
would
an
like.
alternative to rumble strips and to speed bumps then?
Roundabout, right? That's about it.
We're just gonna put it right to that intersection, which we can't do much about that intersection. I can look into see what else we can do for traffic calming. I know they do a lot of things at different places, but there's not a lot of road there.
What about those sticks?
We could look into that, but that's a really, that road's barely minimal cars, if you ever pulled out of there, it's very, very close to where that, and I just don't wanna forcing somebody over a little bit too much and then cause something. I'm trying to look for the best interest
No,
of
I'm
the
just
citizens.
saying, what is some solutions?
The problem is it's coming off a state road, and they come
Yeah.
on that. I mean, and I don't wanna ask the state to close that off and then move the median where they can't turn in there, because that'll cause a bigger problem. We already have enough issues with that intersection it is because of the bridge being closed. That's the other major part of it too, it added a lot of that amount of traffic there has increased, and that kind of really just adds to what we're dealing with right there. And I met up with the gentleman you're talking about, we were out there working on something and, you know, walking his dog, I've known him for a long time. It's kind of sad to see that, and there's an opportunity to see that. It's really the speed coming out, not on the road, it's coming off the other road to beat the other traffic to get across. Everybody's racing in an intersection to get somewhere, and that's what causes people to speed up. It all stems from that. So we can look into it, I can present it to the council if like, I can bring you guys something for the next council meeting, I'll have a presentation for you. I'll get everything I can and give your possibilities and costs.
Counselor, did you complete that, Aaron?
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say, if we could have a discussion item on the public works meeting, that we
We'll put something
can
up
talk
on.
about more.
Counselor Peggy.
Thank you. How about speed enforcement?
Yeah.
You know, I hate to be redundant, but speed bumps are not necessarily a problem. You know, when we all drive into Los Alamos, as soon as we hit that airport road, guess what? Everybody slows down. Yes or no? And if you don't slow down, what happens? You get excited. That's right. So how about enforcement on these roads that are, people are driving like crazy? I would challenge the police department to pick a quarter of this community once a week or every other week or once a month. Just do enforcement. Maybe not even citation at first. Maybe let's just do a period of warning people about their speed and make them more cognizant of how they're doing. I have seen on the west side recently in the last probably 3 weeks, they've been doing stop sign citations. And they seem like they were doing school zone citations today or yesterday. So I think it's important that we also look at speeding citations or warnings at least for a while. And I think that would go a long way in slowing down people on those roads. Late in the evening, 10 o'clock or beyond, Coronado turns into a little speedway. It's crazy how people drive on that road. It's wild. So just being cognizant of that and hopefully having the PD get a little bit more involved in what is happening.
Counselor, is that complete?
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez.
To your point, Counselor Martinez, I do believe that the police department is doing speed monitoring coming into the city on 285-84. They've been doing that for several weeks now. So I think that they may just be working on the plan that you're talking about, which is a good thing. I also want to address Bethany and apologize for not being there. I think that this is an incredible service to our community. I'm really excited about it because whenever my animals need treatment, I have to travel to Santa Fe, sometimes at midnight. So I am looking forward to having something local. And thank you for your incredible work and your advocacy for the animals of this community. I really appreciate that. And I also would just briefly like to address the comments made around the current election and things that are happening inside where people are voting. My understanding is that if an individual needs support to vote, they need to fill out an affidavit for someone to assist them to vote. It is not up to the poll workers to assist someone to vote. That's why they have people there to fill out an affidavit if they want to bring someone in with them to assist them to vote. Not anymore. Last week they were there.
You need an affidavit.
You need an affidavit.
No, not anymore, not for like 10 years.
No, that's the case now.
You have to sign a thing that you're assisting a voter.
You have to sign that voter permit. if you're gonna, okay, so affidavit, voter permit, you still have to sign something to assist someone to vote, right? And so if people are coming in and they feel like they need assistance with voting, then maybe they should bring someone in that can fill out that permit to assist them to vote. Okay, well, I'm hearing differently, right? I just heard Councilor Ledoux speak to that. So I'm just saying, there's ways for people to go in and assist to vote. I also feel that it's really unfortunate that we continue to say that, I guess, city staff are doing things that are inappropriate. That's not true. And I don't think that's fair. If you have actual, you have something actually that can prove that, well then, okay. But if you don't, and this is all hearsay, I don't think that that's fair.
I wish you would allow us to address that since you're bringing it up.
Point of order.
I understand the point of order, but what you're saying is wrong.
Point of order. We can't.
Well, you can talk to me afterwards
Point
if
of
you feel
order.
what I'm
We
saying
can't.
is wrong.
Just
I'm
don't
willing to
engage.
listen.
Go back and forth.
Point of
Go
order.
back and forth, okay?
Point of order.
Okay.
Excuse me?
It's okay, just let her. Point of order. Let her be.
You don't call point of order on me.
Let her be. Thank you, Counselor. Does that conclude?
Yes.
Okay. Counselor Benavides.
I'll just go really quick. I want to thank Bethany for sending me a text this morning to see if I was going to attend the ribbon cutting. Well, I was already at work. But I did mention to Bethany that I had not received an email on my city phone since January 5th. And if you look at the phone, of course, it says out of service, right? So, I mean, no correspondence at all since January 5th. You have to try to remember all your events and meetings and things like that, which is difficult. But I just want to thank you for texting me, reminding me, but I was already in Santa Fe. But I'll definitely get over there because I definitely want to see it.
They did say if you guys wanted to go for a tour, you're welcome to send Maddie an email if you, I can send you her email address.
Thank you, Counselor Peggy Sue, for attending.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just touch base and say, thank you to Bethany. You know, you are the animal advocate of our community. You're everywhere where animals are concerned, and that's very important. The facility that they have is unbelievable. They have 3-4 surgery bays. They have a recovery room. They have state-of-the-art everything. It's just amazing. We need to thank our neighbors, Okewinge, for their generosity in donating that property and having the ability to collaborate with an agency here in our community that provides so much as far as animal welfare and animal well-being. Those of us that are pet owners can rest easy knowing that that is a full-blown clinic. They will have low-cost after-hour care. They will have no-cost spay and neuter to the entire state. That's amazing, that in itself. And today is National Spay Day, by the way.
Yes. She
So
said. She told us.
it's really important that we understand the magnitude of what has happened in that corner of our community. And I would urge the city council, whether I'm on the city council or I'm not, moving forward, I would urge the city council to definitely look at the possibility of creating that whole corridor as City of Espanola, wrapping that thing around completely. We're in and out in the Ranchitos area and that backside especially. So I think in the Llano area, we're in and out as far as city limits and non-city limits. And I think it would make our enterprise a little bit stronger with the sewer and the water. If we looped it completely, I think it would make that system that much stronger. I also want to congratulate Clarence and what you've been able to accomplish with that wrestling team. Congratulations to your daughter and to her successes. And you guys are just truly amazing. I want to recognize Gilbert also. Mr. Gilbert Sandoval, he's a constituent in District 2. He's somebody that listens to our meetings on a regular basis and is very in tune with what is going on this council and sends me back feedback all the time. And I just have the utmost respect for him and what he's trying to do at that high school. And very special what you guys were able to accomplish. And I think as an underclassman, your daughter is incredible and you're very blessed, and she's very blessed to have you be her coach and her dad.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, does that conclude council comments? I just wanna thank you all for coming to speak for public comment. Again, I really strongly apologize. I would have been in attendance too. My phone wasn't working for quite some time, and then I also didn't have my Verizon turned over phone we went from Verizon to T-Mobile, and so, just like Denise, and I really apologize, Bethany, because I would have been there. I would have sincerely, truly been there, and I was not happy when I was told that that event was today, because, it's a beautiful new facility. I see it every day when I'm going to church on Sunday, and, I look forward to going and taking a tour of the buildings. Thank you. Don't think we have anything else on the agenda for business and visitors, right? It's just you left it blank like that?
Oh, yeah, I guess it was left blank. I didn't
Okay.
prepare this agenda.
Okay. City manager report, director reports.
Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, if you're on governing body, I'm gonna try and be succinct, but I know you all wanna know what's going on, so I'll try and be as quick as I can. I did come actually with the organizational chart to give you a little more information on each department. Before each of you, I gave you 2 copies of director reports. And I wanted you to review both of them to see which one you prefer, and what I'd like to do is initiate that every time we have director reports, you receive something like this, either via email. One of them is from general services and one of them is from planning, so I just want for you guys to be able to look through it, see what you think, peruse it, and let me know what you think you'd like more. But starting off real quick with the report, is that for the police department, I know there's a lot of requests for us. I know we had a lot of issues, and I believe I was out there a couple of Sundays with some of my lieutenants. Ranchitos Park was having some serious issues with some of our youth, just pretty much burning rubber. I was there last Sunday, and I could smell it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So what we ended up doing is just to kind of see, we had one of several operations there. On a Friday evening, I had 4 officers there. Just some of the things that they did within a 5-hour period was they conducted 23 traffic stops. They had 14 citations that were issued, 1 DWI, 1 DWI arrest. There were 3 citations for no insurance. We had field interviews, there was 3 of them. We contacted 13 citizens. So we had 4 officers that were out there and were taking care of that. And they did a great job. And we've driven through there, and we actually made 3 arrests. We towed quite a few cars, and I think there's some parents out there that are unhappy, but at least they know now what their children are doing. So we do try and be as responsive as we can. Again, we don't make excuses, short staffing, we're trying to do our best. And I think that came up last night, and I have to thank the finance director for having mercy on us, because we are over on our overtime, and it's the only way we're gonna be able to address some of these issues, is bringing officers in, because we do, again, average quite a few calls per month. But with that being said, that's one of the highlights for the police department. Fire department, I know, has been working hard. They have at least 5 people that are ready to test for an open position. I know they're getting ready to also, they've been working with planning and zoning, with code enforcement, with fire inspections. Planning and zoning is actually doing grease trap inspections. And I'm not a fan of this word, but in this case it works. The collaboration that we've seen now between departments is unbelievable. We had a counselor call us about a downed hydrant on Hindi Lane. In that same day, we had 3 departments that helped address that issue, and ended up going to HR, because it was something where one of our vehicles had struck it about a year ago. But if not for the help of the water department, making sure that the water was off, not the help of the fire department, indicating that that fire department was privately owned. And of course, planning and zoning followed up, contacted the owner, and that's the way it should be. So we're seeing a lot of that within the departments. And it's kind of nice that I do spend 90% of my time here in City Hall. I see almost every director at least once a day. I talk to them. But the fire department was on that. Coming to community development, you're gonna see the results of, I have nothing but kudos for Mr. Adams. You're gonna see one of the resolutions, and I attended some of these meetings where we're having a grant for solar access fund, where we're gonna get funding to put lights on all 3 bridges. We're gonna be able to put a canopy parking on the east side of City Hall, which will also partially light the part of the park. The Lucero Center will receive lighting, and so will the wastewater plant. So this is something that I've been at those meetings with Mr. Adams, and he has stressed. He actually got the buy-in in our part down from 5% to 2%, which I know our finance director is really happy about. So he's also been working on a point in time survey that we need to do for social services. This is with Council of Care, if I'm not mistaken. We are looking to get grant money from them, so he's also doing double duty as one of our social service director, at least contact. We're trying to make sure that we don't lose traction on that end of that department. So he's done a great job with that. Finance, I probably talk to them 3-4 times a day. We talk about so many things that we need to just be aware of. Last night's Board of Finance meeting for me, which is the first one where I actually was up here and I had skin in the game besides my department. I learned a lot of what we need to do, where we've had some lapses. We talked about the new credit cards that we're trying to get for gas to get money back. We're seeing a lot of innovative type of programs and initiatives coming from our finance department, which is great to see. I know Adam and Pat get tired when I walk down their hallway because I'm always gonna stop and ask questions. So I've learned quite a bit with them. When it comes to general services, you'll see that in front of you, that's Director Jeff Sargent's report, but I think Jeff does a little more than that, in that Jeff helps. Just today or yesterday, I think with Mr. Archuleta, Chris here, he went and handed him 16 flags. That was 2 each of the 8 flags that are represented at our plaza. And that was the result of a conversation that Chris and I had, that he told me that we should have extra flags, and of course, I asked, would you be willing to take responsibility? So we ordered 8 flags, 2 of each, and now we shouldn't have any issues with the way our flags look, and that shouldn't be the case. He was right. So Jeff jumped on that right away, and he was able to get that for us. In regards to Mr. Archuleta, Ishmael and IT, he was able to order that hotspot, and I don't know if he's still here. I was gonna ask him if he's received it yet, but he jumped on that right away. Ismael did. He showed me the PO, and directors are responding. Like I said, when we did this ratification for me, there's complete autonomy. Yes, there's accountability, but they're out there. I call them almost like free-range chickens. They're doing their jobs. They're out there. They want to do the things that they're supposed to. When it comes to planning and zoning, I have nothing but great things to say about planning and zoning since I've been acting manager. Just before I walked into the meeting, I received plans that in the event for the sale of that property to Moving Arts, I received the plans to take a look at. As a side note, on Sunday, I attended an event with Moving Arts where they raised $150,000 within a 3-hour time period, which was an unbelievable event that they had in Santa Fe that I was able to attend. The other thing with planning and zoning, and if you all want to know, we come up with a list on Clean and Lean on how much it's going to cost us for 16 different properties. Again, as I walked in, Ernest said, Chief, you might want to take a look at this. So what I can do is I can make copies of this for each of you. For 10 distinct properties, it's going to run us $342,000. That's for the 10 Clean and Lean. And the ones pending demolition will be $365,000. Mr. Copper is working with our legislative representatives through Senate Bill 118 to receive the funds to go ahead and address that cost.
Real quick, did that bill pass? Because the session ended on Tuesday.
I believe it did, Honorable Mayor, yes.
Okay. Real quick, Chief, Councilor Martinez.
So you're talking about 342,000 for 10 properties, and that is for demolition of the structure? Is that what we're talking about here?
Honorable Mayor, Councilor Martinez, yes. It's for the demolition of 10 Clean and Lean properties that we have. The 365 is for pending demolition and to clean up other sites. So these are 16 distinct properties within the city.
So in my mind, the Clean and Lean was meant to clean properties, not to demolish homes.
Well, I think ultimately the goal was for them to go and bring the property into compliance, but we had properties that they failed to act and take ownership of their property, and so that's why right now we're foreclosing on liens going back to 2018 that the city has taken action on.
But that doesn't mean that before the city forecloses on a property, that they have to take the responsibility of doing the demolition. There's opportunity for some developer, opportunity for somebody that wants to have that home rebuilt, especially an adobe home. To me, it's almost sinful to throw an adobe home.
So what the plan was what we discussed with Mr. Koppler was that we're gonna put an RFP out, and that's the thing for the properties, and I think is that this draft ordinance is supposed to come next month?
Oh, that's from Suki Way.
No, it says it has different properties.
These are the properties that were for sale, by the city of Espanola.
Yeah, these are the properties for sale, and so that fund was supposed to generate for that.
Who put the properties for sale?
These are the properties that we approved. We approved it. They've already come to the lien process, so last summer, we approved Frank to go forward with filing the records at district court.
So
for
these
closing.
are the 10 properties that he's talking about at the cost of $342?
No, I think you're thinking of something completely different, chief. This is the properties that we're foreclosing on the liens.
That's a separate resolution that will be presented during the next city council meeting, yes, sir.
So if you're foreclosing on the liens, that means that the city doesn't have ownership of these properties as of yet, correct?
We already did foreclose on the liens. We did that last fall. This right now is an ordinance to look at selling the property now.
Well, this is not on the agenda.
I know, yes, yeah, but chief, it's very
Well,
confusing. It's very confusing because what you proposed, yes, it's not, yeah, I can see the relevance on that, but it's very confusing because you're talking about something completely different, which I wish you wouldn't have done because it's not relevant to this.
Yes, sir. And it's completely separate.
Yes.
We're supposed to be talking about director reports.
Well, this is all part of the director report.
It's okay, it's okay. I think we're diving too deep into something that we shouldn't at this time, but I am curious about that, and I am curious about the city investing more money on a clean ending situation when maybe that's not necessary. Maybe it would be okay if the city just flipped the property and let the future owner handle whatever situation is on that
We
property.
legally can't, well, that's a good point, but we legally cannot take ownership or do anything with the property until we foreclose on the lien, so that's where I'm a little confused, chief. I don't believe we've even foreclosed on any of those liens of this next batch. Yeah, I don't think we have at all.
Okay, so let's not even talk about it
Well,
until
I'll
we understand
clarify,
what's going on.
I'll clarify for us this week. The last department is the one probably that he had seen me is, Elijah Mares. During the past 2 weeks, he has dealt with potholes on numerous streets, not only when we don't have the funding to fill them, he grades them. He's reaching out to the state to get materials. I mean, he has been unbelievable. He and Daniel Frescas, if we miss 1 or 2 trash pickups, they're immediately on it. And again, we're not a perfect organization, but they are very, very responsive to going immediately out and taking care of it. We've also been dealing with the lease we talked about, we're closing the lease. We'll be bringing it up to city council, the lease on the water that we're selling back. We're looking at the lease, the final lease for the Amazon, switching over from Amazon to Lano. And we're also finalizing the lease for Peak Behavioral for Gino's Gym. So these are just some of the things that each of these directors is taking charge of and bringing to me so that I can present to you all on the agendas, but just to give you an idea of what they're doing with their time in between our city council meetings. And with that, I sit here open for any questions that I may ask.
Thank you.
So, being that we're talking about making patchwork on different situations, the city opened up the road on Caballones over a year and a half ago to fix a water line that has not been patched. That road is almost like a dirt road at this point. It needs it badly. Granada Street over there on the very edge of Don Pelagonio and Granada, those both need some patching desperately. Kaikitana needs patching desperately. And up here by the park, where the water runs off, I would recommend that the city do a cement slab there that drains into the drain that's across the road from there, because us patching that and patching that and patching that is not in our best interest. The sprinkler system itself is what's creating the water to sit there. That's destroying the pavement. It's a roundabout situation. It happens every month or every other month. And our poor staff is out there having to deal with it. I would think that it would probably be better if we just did a dip there with a cement 5 feet wide or 6 feet wide, maybe a little pie shape that would go directly into the drain across. The drain is possible, it's the arroyo. It shouldn't be all that difficult to fix that situation. It's just 10 or 12 feet of that Park Street that is destroyed every single month.
Vietnam Veterans Parkway.
We'd actually talked about it that one time, sir.
I,
Just like that.
You bring up a good point regarding curb cut, pavement cuts for utilities. Do we have like a cycle where we don't do it during a certain time of the year specifically so that the road can get remediated? Because what happens is we're doing curb cuts and then we don't go back to fix it. I know you walked out, that's why I just wanted, but long story short, she's talking about a street, Agdalones is really bad. Okay, they did a utility cut and now it's worse. So I just wanna know if we get on a cycle where, okay, in January we go cut the road, in March, we're gonna go catch up with all the work orders for the pavements and make sure that we go back and we're fixing, because people are paying to cut into the road.
Yes. So, sir, on that one, what it is, we're trying to get, let me just stand up a little more. So like on,
Speak up a little bit.
yeah, and make sure I get that. So a lot of times, if it's permits that they're going for, it's a $75 permit and they're not paying. The only time they pay for that is when it pays the water department when they do a tap, and that's included on the fees on there. Sewer is not, it's supposed to go back for there, but a lot of times it's our own leaks, or there's stuff that's happened like that.
It was a city leak, it
Yeah,
was
so
a
it's a
water
city
leak.
leak.
Wasn't a connection?
No,
So a lot of times,
it
so
was
I was
a
gonna
city
say that
leak.
too.
Oh,
But I
okay,
understand
so-
what you're saying,
Yeah,
that
okay,
there
I'm a
should
little
be.
confused, yeah.
Yeah, so
okay.
we do actually schedule, and I'll be honest, sometimes they go by, some do go by the wayside, and it's not on purpose.
No,
We
absolutely.
try to do it there, and it's, it's, everything's gone so expensive too, once again, we try to do it there to make sure we take care of it as soon as possible. As soon as we're aware of it, we get on it right away,
Well,
'Cause
I
the road
think,
gets
I
worse.
think Algodones wouldn't be that bad, just dealing with that 1 4-foot section that they pulled out. It wouldn't be that bad, but there was another section before that up higher on the way to Coronado that was also a water leak at one time. So there's 2 different areas that make it feel like it's a complete dirt road at this point. It's a mess.
And then as the moisture penetrates the asphalt, it starts
Yes, the
buckling
rest of the road,
underneath,
yes.
and it's buckling over there where Stella Garcia used to live.
So though, the streets that I mentioned, because you were out, were Caya, Algodones, Granada needs some holes filled, Caya Quintana needs some holes filled. And then the situation on Vietnam. Also, there's one other thing that I wanna discuss. I'm the person that reported the down fire hydrant at the end of Yandy Lane. And I had a concern because it was completely tilted over, and my concern is, man, what's the liability to the city if that fire hydrant is inoperable and there's a fire in that area? So that concerned me, and I called Chief CM Garcia, and I wanna thank you for taking my calls, and I wanna thank you for being on top of my concerns. And when it was returned back to me, he said that fire hydrant was privately owned. Let that sink in for a minute, please, because any fire hydrant that is privately owned, the city has not created any ordinances that govern these private fire hydrants, who's responsible, how that happens, who
Valley
fixes
Estates has
it,
a
what
ton.
happens. All of these things is sort of left up in the air, and we sort of don't touch it. And I'm gonna tell you this, that it's going to be a liability to the city if we don't come up with some ordinance that handles these private fire hydrants.
That doesn't make sense, especially because that's a dedicated roadway.
I,
Hindi Lane is a dedicated.
follow
city
up on
street.
that.
I don't know.
Valley Estates has a ton of those. It was one of the things I first brought when I first got elected to council, that I have major concerns with the amount. I think, how many are there, Wick? Do you think like 7 or 8, like private fire hydrants? And the only reason you know they're not city fire hydrants is because they have a little thing on it that says do not use. But
Well, this one didn't even have that, and the fire hydrant itself was operable, but the line going to the fire hydrant, I guess, had been compromised. Either way, just think about this, let's say that that is a private fire hydrant, let's say that, there is a fire in that area, let's say it's inoperable, then where are we at as far as liability goes? So it's a situation that needs to be addressed for sure.
Well, not only that, and Clarence can chime in, the diameter of the water lines are wider in Valley Estates than they are for the rest of the neighborhoods, because they were the community water system, and Clydeby Hill is a very big expert on that, but they have a wider diameter of the lines there at Valley Estates.
Well, we better address some type of ordinance. I think we need to look into how we figure out how we deal with that as far as maintenance, as far as inoperable. If it's inoperable, what is happening? How does the city cover themselves from liability when a private entity claims ownership to that hydrant, but it's inoperable? That means that houses within the city limits can be affected by a fire, and liability can transfer to the city of Espanola. So it's something that brought a lot of thought to me about what needs to happen moving forward. It's very important that we address this, or that the council, future council addresses that scenario.
In the DRT meetings that we have with the cities and planning and zoning for the new commercial lots and stuff, that's one of the requirements is hydrants in privately owned places. And in those meetings, that's where in the paperwork it states that they take responsibility of the hydrants. But if, like that road, probably how old and when was that done? It's probably not in the system, that's their responsibility. So.
Indy Lane was done in the 90s.
And it's our street, it's a
Yeah,
dedicated
that's what I
road.
just said. I don't understand why the meter is not the meter, the hydrant they're saying is a private hydrant, because that's a dedicated.
And it's not marked as a private one either, so.
Yeah, so I would think that would be our responsibility.
The lines were never, they never come out dedicated to the city. So somebody does like a subsection like that and they run the water line down the road, they hire a third party plumber. They hire a plumber and they run the water lines. We never inspected it, we've never looked at it, that shows it inside the paperwork. So when it comes to it, they paid for all the connections, but that line still stays private. And what I look for is, been chasing after it, is going back, looking at any meetings or times like that. That's how I'm finding a lot of these lines were never ever dedicated to the city to say this line, now that I ran it, we've inspected it, now I dedicate it to the city. So that's how a lot of those lines we're finding that are not, that they were never dedicated to us, so we don't take ownership of it.
So in my view, there you go, telling me how we have shortchanged ourselves again. And that just tells me how more important it is that the council create some type of ordinance, some type of policy that states that when a private person is installing these, because it's a development, that they have a responsibility before the city is done with them is one, an inspection process by the water department, by the fire department. You guys need to sign off on that, making sure that those are stable and they're operable. And then after that, making sure that those hydrants are transferred to ownership of the city. Having public and private fire hydrants is ridiculous. These are suppression systems that will save people's lives and people's homes. We can't depend on being in the middle of public and private, it's too dangerous.
So we haven't accepted a dedicated street in at least 20 years, and that was Camino Cielo Grande, but we haven't since. And I know at Thompson Lane, that's a good example. That line is capacity because of the water line, the well on the Meadow Acres well, and it comes back to McCurdy, and it comes down Thompson Lane, and that one's to grade and everything like that because it was made by the city, done by the city. Johnny, did you?
Mayor, council,
Oh, chief.
I did also check on, like, we're having this problem with like private, who's gonna take liability on if the
Chief,
hydrant
speak
wasn't
up
working.
so that they can hear you.
If a hydrant wasn't working and stuff. And one of the things that I did find out is if it's a private hydrant, okay, the only thing that we have going against them and making them responsible is it has to be metered. You know what I mean? It has to have a meter that they'll pay for whatever water is gonna go out to, and then that's making them responsible for that hydrant. Because you're providing that hydrant like for a trailer park or something like that, unless you have paperwork stating that, we're gonna take responsibility of this hydrant. So if it's not metered, in actuality, I was checking liability wise would fall on us, even though we're saying it's liability, So like I say, you are right, we need to come up with an ordinance, or it needs to go into the planning and zoning thing where they say that, this hydrant is being put in there, because we do go into the planning and zoning and they say, well, what do you guys have? Well, we need a hydrant there, we're asking them to put a hydrant there, but who's gonna maintain it? It's not the biggest thing, we're asking that they need to have at least a hydrant depending on what kind of building it is. So that's one of the biggest issues. You are right, Counselor, that we do need to have an agreement or an ordinance saying that any hydrant is going to be either by us, or if it goes on the private property, that they're liable for it, because if not, it comes back to us.
The liability is big, yeah.
But to me, any new development, it should go through planning and zoning. There should be a hydrant plan that comes with that development. And everything else is gonna come with that development that goes through whatever committee the city's put together, right? And everybody looks at it, and everybody signs off on it. so that later on, there are no issues, right? So I did see where we've got some proposed commercial, and there's certain things that I hope we're gonna require from those commercial developers. It should all be done up front, so that there are no issues going forward, right? And especially water, because that's a big one for us, the city. I mean, water's an issue everywhere, right? So it should be part, in my opinion, of the plan.
Elijah, and then, I'll let Clarence wrap up, and then we're gonna move on, guys.
Just a quick thing on that, man. Right now, so all private, like, let's say like Sevenberg, let's say like any of these new developments we actually have that have commercial things, we do go inspect that stuff. The nursing home that's coming in, the rehabilitation center, we're inspecting those before we allow them to connect to our stuff, so we're actually checking how they're put together, and so we have less of these problems down the line. We just like I said, we haven't had a major development yet, and when it comes to that point of a major development, then we'll make sure that we're on top of that, and that's kind of where we're headed towards. But the only thing we've had our hands on is everything from Denny's, you know, when they put that stuff in, from, you know, the rehabilitation home. So those are things that we're actually inspecting before they do the hookups to make sure. It's the things that we've inherited that are old as can be.
Yeah.
And that's where it runs a lot of these lines, we're like, well, the city, it keeps breaking. It's like, those were put in by somebody, I don't know what they used to put them back together back then, but they're not quite meeting the specs.
My concern is too, once we start on the Riverside Drive project, and the pressure of the line's gonna change, and I'm very concerned of how it's gonna work for all the laterals too, I know.
We're connecting all brand new laterals to a point, but
But and we're gonna have a lot more problems when we redo the Riverside line.
I have one more concern, I'll yield to him and him, but I do.
I'm gonna let Clarence, and then we're gonna move on, guys, cause we're really.
This is a different concern though, Mayor.
Okay,
Yeah, I have different
Clarence,
too.
Clarence.
As far as like when we do the meetings, we have been, because of all these issues that we have been between private and what's going on, we have been getting it, been really good between everybody just talking about it, saying, okay, well, what is this gonna be? And if they do try dedicating it to city, then they're gonna have to go through you guys. And it's completely like straightforward since the DRT meeting, they're gonna run this water line, okay, well, if it ever decides to, we gotta get it inspected, and we gotta dedicate it to the city, and then that goes through you guys, so this way we could stop running into, a lot of stuff that we've been running this whole time. What I've been finding, what we've been going up against, is I mean, I can't do anything for the past,
Right.
but moving forward,
Oh,
we getting a lot of that in the paperwork,
Excellent.
and finding that.
And it
so
saves
we
us
can
money.
stop it. Yes.
yes.
Ernesto,
Say something, Mayor?
Ernesto. I just said, you're going
Oh,
to.
Mayor, councilors, let me assure you that the review of the survey plats that all these developments come forward, I always look at the plats to make sure that all the features within the property are located and named. If a fire hydrant is private or public, then it is noted on the survey plat. The survey plat is recorded, and that information makes the lot legal in terms of meeting the requirements that the city requires in terms of assuring that lot is serviceable and provides the utilities needed for that development and or adjacent properties.
So the other concern, oh, I'm sorry, he was first, I'm sorry.
Okay, we're gonna move on from the water line thing, cause we've dived into a whole topic, so.
All right.
Let's keep this.
So I wanna
I
ask,
agree, but we've gone way off the agenda.
I wanna ask about Ranchitos Park. I see here on Jeff's report that the work is continuing, but there's been questions from DFA. I wanna know what information the DFA is seeking. I also wanna know, it says the contract is with Sierra Engineering is in process. What exactly does that mean?
I just signed something today from CDBG.
What I can talk about, sir, I know you and I, Honorable Mayor, governing body, at $825,000 that DFA is supposed to release. From my understanding is, we are just waiting for it, and I know, I'm pretty sure when, Director Varela gets here, he'll explain the process. I ask them daily, you know that 400,000 of that money is also for the police department.
So we don't know what DFA is requesting.
If I may. So they requested an exhibit that we had to put, when we first submitted the plan to move forward with this, so they were missing an exhibit that had to be re-signed. The mayor re-signed it today, we sent it back to DFA. So we hadn't had that there, they looked through the files to make sure everything was complete, and that one wasn't in there, it was a signature from the mayor.
And then I noticed on Ernest's report, the mention of shopping cart issues. I still noticed that we haven't seen the full enactment of our ordinance, our shopping cart ordinance that we passed. Like, these carts are supposed to be numbered, and like, there's a lot of provisions in there that are just not being enacted by these stores. Is there any way that code enforcement can talk to these retailers and tell them that we are serious about the shopping cart ordinance that we passed? Because it's still a major issue. I see shopping carts all over North McCurdy. I see shopping carts, throughout the west side. Like, there are shopping carts everywhere still. It's not as bad as it used to be, but there's still quite a bit of them. And I feel that the retailers just aren't taking the ordinance that we passed seriously enough. And I feel like they need to comply with it. And we need to put some teeth in order for them to comply with it. We need to start talking to them about it. Because it's just a major issue. I mean, according to Ernest's report, they're spending a significant amount of time picking up these carts.
Honorable Mayor, Councilors, due governing body, that's something that I'll meet with Ernest this week, and we'll see what we could do. We'll have something by the next city council. We'll have a plan, at least a plan of action. We'll see what we can do to arrange meeting with these retailers and see what else we can do. So we will have a plan of action by the next city council.
And finally, I just wanted to ask, how many of the DWIs are we sending to the municipal court? And of those, how many of them have resulted in convictions?
Honorable Mayor, Councilor Dew, at this point, I don't have that number, but I will get back with you. We do have monthly numbers on how many DWIs we have.
I saw that Judge Madrid is online. Does he have an answer for me?
Well, he has a direct, it says we're up for director reports right now, so I think municipal.
Oh, he is a director.
Yeah, so it's more than sufficient to ask that question.
He's not online anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, he is.
I'll
He
send
is,
them.
I see.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of the governing body.
There
For
you
the
go.
month of January, on my report, we didn't get any DWIs. I believe for this month of March, we're at 3.
Thank you.
What about February? You mean, for February, you mean?
No, for January, I'm always, when I present, I'm always a month behind.
No,
Because
you
we are
said,
end
you
of the
said
month.
for, you said for March.
February, yeah, February, I don't, sorry, yes, for the month of March, what I've seen being filed in is I know I'm at 3. For February, I don't have the number off the top of my head right now.
Okay.
So the other issue that I wanted to discuss, Mayor, is an issue that's ongoing in Sierra Vista District 2. 6 different people have had to do a payment cut to get their sewer line replaced because of a pipe and
Orangeburg
infrastructure
pipe.
that the city of Espanola installed and ran that Orangeburg to these different houses from the main. People have had to have the pavement cut at their cost and replace that Orangeburg to the saddle, to their property line. To me, I feel like if that infrastructure was put in to service those homes at the time, then that line that the city installed is the breakdown. That's the piece that is breaking down because it's disintegrating. It's only intended to be used like 20 years and it's been out there since the 50s. It's been there 70 years and it's disintegrating, it's collapsing. So 6 different people have already had to pay for a payment cut and get their stuff done. And there's 3 more people waiting to get theirs done because their sewer doesn't function properly. I feel like the city of Espanola needs to come up with what sure that everybody understands it completely. I realize that the way that it is now written is that it is up to the homeowner to do all that stuff, but I feel like when there's a breakdown in the infrastructure that the city provided, that it needs to be looked at in that way. I think to the property line should be the owner's responsibility, and from the property line to the drain or to the manhole, to the main, should be considered the city's responsibility. I really think that that's something that we need to look at. It's very important.
This goes back to the developer, and so when Alan Stam built that subdivision in 1956, they dedicated the street after the construction of it after, and so then it became a dedicated street to the city. I don't know what happened when, I thought they had replaced the lines. I know my Aunt Sylvia redid her line from coming into Sierra Vista, and she tied it
She's
off
one
a
of the 6.
She's tied off a Coronado now. My Uncle David had it done about 12 years ago. There's a cut right here by the carport.
Well, how nice that they had the availability of being able to go through a different line. Not everybody up that street has that option. I mean, the other thing that I thought about was, you know, there's the road on the back of Sierra Vista. There's probably a 10-foot easement on that backside. I don't know that it would behoove everybody on the south side of that street, but down on that north side, for sure you could do damage and just run a main straight down right there without causing people so much grief with having to do pavement cuts and all that other stuff.
And I agree, and see, I brought it up in the past with Elijah, I brought it up as a counselor. That little alleyway hasn't been maintained at all, and so we're just trying to get him to go clean it because the neighborhood is convinced that that belongs to the resident and the city, and then it is the understanding of the city, Elijah chime in, it's the property of the individual owners, yeah. And so that's another situation in the cleaning of that property, because we've had squatting back there too. And I know in the past we had the chief go out there and remove these people because they were privately trespassing, but that ownership of that alleyway on the backside is also very
It's real easy to find out. You go to the county, you find out where the property line ends. Simple.
But the city is in the mindset that it's not ours, and the neighborhood believes it's the city's. And so their surveys are actually correct.
They're not, it's not theirs.
It's not theirs, it's ours.
That's what I thought.
Mhm.
Okay, moving on.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
We beat the line about sewer lines and water lines tonight.
Just a quick thing on that one, the main sewer line's good still on that one,
Off of Sierra Vista, the
Yeah, the
actual
main-
set of Sierra Vista line.
yes, the main is fine, it's going, the connections to it that were done back in the day out of Orangeburg.
See, so if I'm a resident of that street and the main is good, but the line from my house to that main is not good, it's affecting my daily, so that's the issue.
All
Let's
right.
move on.
Anything else on director reports?
No, but I want to thank Jeff for compiling the report, and I also want to thank Mr. Martinez for doing the same. I think it's important that we get these every time there's a director's report. I wish every single department had the report for us.
And I think that should be required of every department, and it has been.
Honorable Mayor, governing body, that's why you receive one of each, so you say which one
Yeah,
is
but
more.
not every director has a report.
Oh, you're
With the
asking
format,
for
which
the
format,
format.
which format you
I
all.
like this format myself.
The little rubric crew?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
I like this
And
format.
then
It's easier to.
As
I will,
long as like everybody is consistent.
and that's why I was asking which one of the two you all like.
I like this because it gives the project, it tells us the status, give me some background, action, where we're at. I like this better.
So that's what we'll.
Jeff is the winner tonight for this, and I've seen you have a few in the past.
To be fair, all public works are like this
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah, they are.
No, that's how we do it in Public Works, is the same way theirs is the ones that we
You
do.
go MacGyver.
That's how it rolls.
Yeah.
Alright.
Honorable Mayor, can I say one thing? I have to apologize to one of the counselors. It was my bad. We did close the Lucero Center down this past week. The reason being is we were replacing the front doors, and that gave me the opportunity to have the director deep clean. We've had a lot of toxic type of accidents within the library recently, but we should have given a better, I guess, talk to the public, maybe been a
Can you
little.
elaborate on the toxic?
We've had some,
Accidents.
just human toxicity,
Okay.
sir.
I have.
We don't really
I
know.
don't think I wanna know.
I got it.
I don't think I wanna know now.
So if we don't have anybody to pick up cats and dogs that are dead on the road, how do we have somebody to pick up that biohazard? Tell me that.
That falls under, the librarian.
Can you send it for the two skunks that are over there?
We had that issue already.
I don't
Just
think
one
that's-
request.
I don't know if we can, we don't have like what we accomplished, like for the previous month, I think if it's in the packet, the
I
public
can-
can,
I
yeah,
can-
like it'd be nice to know what we are accomplishing, right? Because the public then knows too.
We'll let him know, call.
So I feel like we accomplished it when nobody knows.
Done in the last, whatever.
There you go.
We'll
Okay,
complete it.
request for that also.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Chief, for addressing the communication gap that we had at Lucero Center this past week. But I also think that our staff have group text messages for constituents that use that facility. And that's a really good way to get the message out, because as I explained to you, there's a lot of elderly people that don't have computers or internet service and plan their day around utilizing that facility. And so when they get in their car at 7:30 in the morning to attend a class at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then they're turned away, it's not really a good practice. And this happens quite often at Lucero Center, so I hope it's something that we can address.
Real quick before we wrap up, do we have an update on the phones? They've been out
I
like
do.
4 or 5, but I mean at least for the residential, I know
No,
it's been.
I do.
in general.
I have been on the phone with PRC concerning the lack of phone service for senior citizens in my neighborhood. I have 3 seniors that don't have a cell phone and depend on their landline for their safety and their well-being, and they've been without phone service for more than 10 days.
And this is the second time in the last 2 months that this has happened.
Third time.
Okay.
So what has happened is that, this is what I was told, that, let me read it. What I was told is that there was another breach underneath the bridge where somebody compromised hundreds and hundreds of phone lines. They had to bring in a crew from Kentucky. The crew from Kentucky was expected to be here Sunday, and they will be working on it. I know for sure that they were here, and they got here because the guy that provided the porta potties for them is Harold Martinez from Cayacuno. He took those out there last week, and he told me that they have already been utilized, so he knows for sure that the group is here working, and they're working on it. The estimation for repair at the time that they got here was 5 to 10 days. They've probably been here like 3 days as of yet.
Yeah, but, so I'm confused, why is it like spotty? Because the SSS, I have internet, we don't have internet here, the Del Norte has internet.
There's about 380 lines cut, so depending on what.
Because when they told me the line was out here, it didn't make sense because we have internet from this way on.
We'll run it this way.
I just
I
wanted
have a question on that.
Counselor to do.
So, has there been an idea of maybe creating some sort of outreach to these people who are impacted, at least for the time being, to get them on the federal Lifeline program, which is a program that helps provide a cell phone to the 2 folks who are vulnerable? Many of these people probably fall into that category, and they may qualify for free cell phone service, at least as a stopgap until things are.
I think that's a really great
I
idea,
think so,
something to
too.
look at. Who would do that for us?
Can we have Jeff Sargent look at doing that?
So let me say something else concerning this phone situation. Numerous people have contacted me telling me that they wanna disconnect their service, they're sick of it, they can't stand it anymore, they just wanna get out of their phone service. and every time you dial that company to do a disconnect,
You have to-
it disconnects you. It doesn't allow you to go into their system, you can't even do it online.
You have to do it from the thing, cause I had a problem with the bill, you have to log in online.
No, you cannot even log in online. If you log in online and it recognizes your IP address, it tells you right away, you're being recognized as somebody that has been affected by an outage. This situation is being rectified and worked on and la 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 la. And then it tells you, for further or to disconnect, whatever, punch that. You press that and it takes you back to where you were at. It's not allowing
And then they close
people
the office
an
here.
opportunity to disconnect their service. I don't care what number you call, you cannot disconnect service. That's the reason that I was on the phone with PRC today, trying to find out, like, what do we do? I think the council needs to act at the next meeting and do some kind of formal action to protect the people of this community that are ongoing, paying for this service, not getting the service. They've been down for more than 30 days. Nobody in this community has gotten a credit for those 30 days. Everybody's just eating crow happy, waiting for that service to come back up. That's bull crap.
So Chief, can we put Jeff to reach out to find a point of contact and set up a meeting and to identify exactly who's affected by the outage, how many actual customers, and to release to us if they can tell us who's been impacted. And we then direct the staff to get out there and meet with these individuals because, yeah, this is very concerning.
And then we get a person there with an authority. Or state.
All right, so we're gonna move on now. Public hearing. Ordinance 2026-3, an ordinance authorizing execution and delivering of a water project fund loan grant agreement by and between New Mexico Finance Authority and the City of Espanola, the borrower grantee in the total amount of $14,600,000, including a loan in the amount of is that correct? $1,460,000, evidencing an obligation of the borrower grantee to utilize the loan grant amount solely for the purpose of financing the cost of constructing water line replacements for the new water lines, when solely in the manner described in the loan grant agreement, providing for the pledge and payment of the loan amount and administrative fees solely from the net system revenues of the water and sewer utility system of the borrower grantee. Certifying that the loan grant amount, together with other funds available to the borrower grantee, is sufficient to complete the project. Approving the form of and other details concerning the loan grant agreement, ratifying actions hereto therefore taking, repealing all action inconsistent with this ordinance, and authorizing the taking of other actions in connection with the execution and delivery of the loan grant agreement. Does anyone, who's gonna present, are you gonna present?
Should we get clarification of?
Well, so we need to have the presentation first, and then I'll open up for public hearing.
I know the numbers on the.
No, it's actually correct. That's the amount that we put down and we invested towards the engineering cost.
Oh, there's, I can see if there might be, it looks like it could have been.
Yeah, no, that's the 1%.
Honorable Mayor, City Councilors, yes, that is correct. It's a 10% loan, 90% grant. We've come to you before with this. It's the Water Trust Board. We did verify with the questions from the first reading that yes, it is a 20-year loan. We have the loan schedule, excuse me, the projected payment is about $73,000 per year. And we have a couple of options. That would be, one possibility would be paying it out of our enterprise funds. Another possibility is Mr. Mares had talked with Nikki Greenspan in the Office of the State Engineer. I believe you're familiar with a water settlement called the Aragon Settlement Funding Pledge to the city. We have a letter of commitment from the state that they would release that money from appropriations. So as part of the regular budgeting process, that'll be brought forward to council to make the final decision of how council would want to handle that. We believe this is an excellent opportunity for development on Riverside Drive, and we're very happy to stand for questions.
Okay, does that conclude your thing?
Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna, time is 7:22. I'm gonna open up the public hearing. Is anyone here to speak in favor or in opposition to the adoption of ordinance 2026-3?
Point of clarification, would you again repeat the amount of the loan that you're gonna purchase? What is 72,000, so you're paying about 6,000 a month towards that loan from the, which from the enterprise fund?
So the entire award amount is 14,600,000 with a 10% loan, 90% grant. So it's 1,460,000 with a 20-year pay period that comes out to about $73,000 per year. That would be the payment on that
Yeah,
loan.
so you pay it monthly, about six, or you pay it
Yearly.
yearly?
It would be paid yearly.
Yearly, okay, thank you.
All right, last call for anyone here to speak in favor or in opposition to the adoption of ordinance 2026-3. There being none, this public hearing is now closed. All right, I'm going to, council is allowed to make motions to.
Make a motion to
Make a
approve.
motion,
Go ahead, Pedro.
make a motion to pass ordinance number 2026-03.
Second.
Motion made by Council Pedro Valdez to adopt ordinance 2026-3.
Under discussion there?
And, sorry, forgive me, and second by Council Peggy Sue Martinez. Under discussion, Council Peggy Sue Martinez.
Under discussion, that $73,000 per year is, interest-free, correct? That's an interest-free loan?
That is correct.
I just wanted to have that noted.
Under discussion.
That's good enough.
Councilor Ledoux.
Can we afford it?
Can we afford not?
I asked that at the last meeting.
Yes.
Honorable Mayor, City Councilors, we did have Director Patrick Varela here last meeting, and he confirmed that we can. And of course, he'll receive copies of everything. He's been kept in the loop on the drafts. And we're also working with Clarence Maestas, so Elijah Marez is overseeing the budget, and we'll bring the options, whether it's the funding from, it's called the Aragon settlement from the state engineer, or through regular budgeting before council to make the final decision as part of the budgeting process, of course.
If I may also on that one there too, we're also looking at, we gotta look at, there's two different budgets we're looking at. I know what your concern is, we're saying there's a deficit on one hand and can we afford something new on the other?
Yes.
That deficit is not within the public enterprise funds. That is within the general fund.
But
So-
we've been using the enterprise funds to cover the deficit.
No,
We have
numerous mayors have utilized that fund to cover the deficits, including
Didn't we
past
vote to
mayors.
use that? Huh?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Did we, if I recall, we're using the general fund to cover the current deficit, correct?
No,
You
he's
mean
saying the
the
enterprise fund
enterprise.
to cover the deficit, no.
No, we got Fund 3, Fund 300.
I'm figuring.
Covered.
This is an enterprise situation anyway, all the way 100%. So to me, the enterprise side of the budget is healthy and doing very well because of the upcharges that this council was brazen enough to make. Those are the things that help set us up for something like this to be affordable.
And I may also add that so this is a water and wastewater project, so it'll come from half from one budget and half from the other budget, so it's not gonna impact one more than the other, so they'll split that difference on there.
Split the cost.
Yes, yes, sir. It's also, we do that with several other things, too, so.
So we have a motion and a.
motion is second. Is there any further discussion? Then being none, can I get a roll call vote? Because Councilor, Felicia, are you on? think you have to
I've
do
been
it
trying to-
anyway, right? 'Cause yeah, we should, but just to make sure.
I have been trying to help her get on and she can't, cell phone
Alright.
service is bad.
She,
Can we do
I
a
can
roll?
call her if she wants to vote on this. You want me to call her?
My phone is not
Give it to
bad.
the mayor.
Just do a roll call.
Okay, Counselor Peggy Sue Martinez,
In favor?
Counselor Nanette Rodriguez,
Of the motion.
Counselor Aaron Salazar,
Favor.
Counselor Pedro Valdez,
Yes.
Counselor Denise Benavides,
In favor.
Counselor Samuel Ledoux.
In favor.
Motion carries.
Counselor Salazar Mayor Pro Tem Salazar Torres just told me now, he's in the meeting, it's not letting him unmute.
This is JST. that's
I'm
in there.
guessing that's him.
Just?
I don't know.
All right, there you go, in favor.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
that makes it
Seven.
a 7-0 vote.
Alright, items proposed for council consideration, discussion items, action items. Resolution 2026-16, a resolution authorizing the city of Espanola to apply for a United States Department of Transportation build better utilizing investments to leverage development grant for the construction of the Fairview Lane Corridor Safety Improvement Project and authorizing execution of all required documents. Mr. Elijah.
So, Mr. Mayor, governing body, what we're looking at here is the build grant. It was previously the raise grant that we applied for last year. We didn't get it then, but we're trying to get now. This is what we're looking towards. It's to cover the entire Fairview corridor, which would add lighting, multi-use paths, improve sidewalks that are already existing, add sidewalks where it wasn't before.
Motion to approve. Second. Motion made by Counselor Ledoux, second by Counselor Rodriguez. All in favor of the motion signify by, roll call, sorry. Roll call again.
Counselor Peggy Sue Martinez. Favor. Mayor Pro Tem Justin Salazar Torres,
In favor.
Counselor Nanette Rodriguez, Counselor Aaron Salazar, Counselor Pedro Valdez,
Yes.
Counselor Denise Benavides,
So the meeting's about to be over, so I'm gonna close it. Thank you guys for joining. I greatly appreciate you guys. You guys have a great evening. Until next time, laters.